Yeah. What's up, guys? Evenings. 1 second, I'll be with you right now. What? Okay, cool. Hello, everyone. Sorry, I am here. It's a G. I am back. And what did I do with my phone? Hello, everyone. How's it going? Oh, there it is. I don't even have a drink in me, and I can't even find a phone straight in front of me. What's up, everyone? Happy Easter Friday, as they say. And I shouldn't tell it's your fault I'm late, because that video was bloody brilliant. My God. It's me and Yusuf for Adjutant. Yeah, I don't know why I need the earphones. Yeah, we got 4 people here. We're getting there eventually. Growing slowly but surely. Oh, geez, we lost one. That was quick. And they arrive. No problem. That made my bloody night. Shit, that was good. There's a funny bloody G-Man kick the bride or kick the bride kick challenge coming up. I'll send it to you. Barney is a dinosaur. Yes, sir. I was catching up. I was so bored. And then I kicked my bloody ball away, so I had to fricking do something. Hi, everyone. Who are you? Still early days. I'll give people some time. That video is doing well on me stuffing up. Just people are enjoying it. But what was I going to say? I'll wait for people. Heinrich, are you going to attempt this challenge? I saw that 3-pointer over the wall. Tell me about it. It was definitely over the wall. My God. And I wasn't even trying. I was trying to chip it, but I got too much into the moment of going forward. And I just kicked it too hard. And I knew it. As I hit it, or kicked it, I was worried. How do I reckon Saracens are going to do? Well, the question is if they qualify for the tournament, Saracens being, depending where they are, they might not even qualify for it whenever it happens. But if they come back from the old payment drama, then yeah, maybe they will definitely do it. I think they'll be a force. I want to see them against the Crusaders. I think it'll be a cracking tournament. Give us something to be excited about and look forward to. But Heinrich, sorry, just to continue, are you going to attempt that challenge, the G-Man Bri kick challenge? I made it too damn long. Can I use a soccer ball and work? Yeah, go for it. Like I said, it doesn't matter what type of ball it is, or just as long as it's creative and people are keeping the flow. We've got one. I'm going to edit one. Yuri sent me one, and I need to edit, and then he's going to post that, and I will keep the trend. But I want to make a whole montage of these bloody things. I think it could be quite hilarious. But yeah, it should be interesting. Jeepers, 5 people. It's a slow start to this one. Although I didn't warn anyone or advertise it, so I suppose it's my fault. If you'll pick up last Sunday, it started off slow and it just shot up. Guys, ask your questions, those who are hiding and not talking in the background. The topic today is the Club Rugby World Cup. Will it work? Should it happen? Etc. Now I've given my thoughts on a video, but I thought in tonight's stream we can have a quick debate about it. I'm not going to keep you guys too long, but just have a little discussion of how we see this whole thing planning out. I think a dream team World Cup would be awesome. When you say a dream team World Cup would be awesome, I mean, there's only so many dream teams that one can form unless you're talking mixed teams from countries. It's play that one first. Curious to hear your thoughts on that. Because I mean, like the South can only form so many people, but North can only form so many. North, South, East, West have a four teams in one game type thing, maybe. You know, but it could work. I think it's a good idea to keep this Club Rugby World Cup thing going. I think it could be something exciting for people to watch and witness. Um, Definitely keep it entertaining. Don't think a six-team Super Rugby, four teams each top in Premiership and one to final word. Yeah, I agree with you there. I think it's too many teams. It should be four. Um, Four men, maybe. I would have said two, but I think they're trying to get one from every nation. Then it would have to be four, because Japan's obviously pulling out, so they're going to not be part of Super Rugby, and then we go into their own league. So whoever gets there, they can form their own. Then I would pick top of Super Rugby, top of New Zealand, top of Australia, as well as top of South Africa, and then Jaguars automatically qualify. So then I'll put those four teams in. Four teams from Premiership, I think it's and Pro 14 and Top 14. I just think it's too much. I'd go two, two, two. Yeah, there we go. Two each from the top 10 international teams. I agree. I agree. I think that might make it quite interesting. That's actually not a bad one. Two each from the top 10. So are you saying the current world rankings, that 10, and then the top two provincial teams from those 10 international teams? That could work. Definitely could work. Yeah, I can see it happening. I think it could be a bit big though. Although then it's almost like a World Cup. You've got 20 teams. Actually, it's just like a World Cup. So I'll back that, Heinrich. I think that's a damn good idea. So then the top teams, top provincials, boom, has it. And then everyone gets an equal chance, and it's genuinely like a World Cup. I think that's a smart plan. I like that idea, and I think that will go down well. So you've got 20 teams in a Club World Cup. I think that's what they do in football, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't really taken much interest in the Club FIFA World Cup, unless United's in, which I haven't been. But I think that's a good plan, a good idea going forward. I like that. Any other ideas for the Club World Cup or how you see it? Both Heinrich and I are in agreement. There's too many teams selected. You don't need six from Super Rugby and all that stuff. Break it down into the top 10 teams in the world. Take two teams from each province. So, like South Africa, two, probably at this rate is looking Sharks and Stormers, but whoever's in the top. New Zealand, Crusaders, Chiefs, who's third? England, Saracens, and Exeter Chiefs, etc., etc. Go down the list. Then you've literally got the best of the best. Obviously, Argentina, um, they'll just make it because they're 10th. But your teams like Fiji gives them an opportunity to create a tournament, which I think will be bloody exciting. Um, and literally take it from there to see how it goes. So I think it's a, a smart way of keeping this tournament going. I wonder if this chat is paused in there. Just check something. Oh, no. Oh, no, cool. Sweet. Thought I was losing it. Damn it, so not a brass hook. I will kick my ball in. This is your 40 meters should be a problem. Geez, that would probably is. Give it a try. I'll give them a call and see if the ball reach their house. Anything's possible in this world. Yes, but that video is funny, man. I haven't laughed that hard in a while. Totally agree. But what top two teams you take from South Africa, Curry Cup or Super Rugby? Ooh, wait a minute. Kelly, you've got a good point there. You've got a bloody good point. Because Cheetahs, yeah, do very good. That's a tough one to decide. It'll probably be from Super Rugby though, because the Cheetahs technically have their own opportunity for Pro 14. So I think that's how it will work. So it will be Super Rugby from South Africa, and then obviously the Cheetahs focusing on the Pro 14. That will be their opportunity, I think. But it can go either way. 70% of the planned revenue will come from all English and French TV and sponsorship. How and why would that happen for two teams? Fair enough. Good point. But will people watch? I mean, you got to make it equal. I mean, if it's majority English, I mean, well, great the TV business, but are people gonna be excited enough to watch? Remember, you're trying to ignite the whole world into this. And yes, we look at French and English TV's got the money, but around the world, rugby's developing. South Africa is massive. Australia, New Zealand, combine that. Argentina, Pacific Islands then get included. So they added to the list. Who else is in the world? So European will definitely dominate, I would say. But I don't know. Anything can happen in this type of tournament. I just think to try and equally sum it up would be interesting. For me, six teams for Super Rugby doesn't make sense. Um, I'd take two from, well, actually, it does if you look at it cheapest. It's actually quite confusing if one looks at it. There's six teams, two, two, two. So you're technically still taking 16. On Irish to add on to, oh, wait, yes, here we go. Don't think 60. Oh, yeah, I said that. I'd love to see a league for weaker teams because, well, that's hopefully something um, to come up in the future because that's what they want to do to join Pro 14. The group goes with and all those teams to do that. Dale Steyn or Jimmy Anderson? Whew, Connor, that's a tough one. Dale's brilliant and he's done well, but Jimmy Anderson, I think, has lasted a long time. But if we have to go back at the younger days, Dale Steyn, he was a strong force when he was younger. Now, the last 5 years, say 6 years, I said Jimmy Anderson would have knocked it. I think he just got better and better as he got older. When Steyn was at his peak at a young age, dominated the world test rankings for, what was it, 5, 6 years? And then injury knocked him out. Boom. So I think very evenly matched from a career point of view. But yeah, it's a tough one to produce on. Is this thing now? Graham Smith's my favorite. I said batsman and a very good one. After Clark or Herschel Yankees. Oof, tough one. Tough one. Faf de Klerk or Herschel. I like Herschel Yankees. Faf de Klerk in the final any day, but Faf de Klerk kicks too much, whereas Herschel plays a great running rugby game for me. So I probably, and I get sloped for this, but I'll take Herschel Yankees. Um, I'd rather put in there Faf, Herschel, or Kobus Reina, and I'll take Kobus Reina because my lead and Yankees on the bench. I think both players are phenomenal at what they do, but equally brilliant at their own thing. If Faf did less box kicking, definitely. But for me, I think Sri Lanka is going to be the future of South African rugby. For those who are just joining, or five of you or so, ask your questions about what you think for this Club World Cup tournament. We're in a debate now of how it will work. Should it be the six teams and the six teams from Super, four from Top Pro and Premiership? Heinrich made a suggestion of World Cup rankings, so the top 10, two teams from each province, which I quite agreed with. I like that. But then Pork Chop 25 said 70% of planned revenue would come from English and French TV and sponsorship. Why would that happen for two teams? Which is a valid point. Um, why would the money invest in for those things? But for me, it's up to the top two teams for that. I wouldn't pick more in because if you have one tournament dominant, it's going to be boring. If it's evenly matched, I think it'll be exciting. Leicester Crusaders would be a phenomenal match. I would definitely pay money if I had to to watch that. Both phenomenal teams, especially Leinster. That's my favourite Irish team. But so yeah, there's lots of different ways to look at this club tournament, how it's going to work, if it's going to work. It's all talk now that French president was doing it as a bid in order to get the chairmanship and etc. etc. But I think it needs to happen. I mean, we discussed this last week, Sunday, when we had that stream, or was it Saturday? One of the two, where I said I think it's important that we have a Club World Cup to see the battles, to see the fights. Like we talk Leinster Crusaders or Saracens Crusaders or Toulouse versus all these teams given opportunity because we're not really looking at Champions Cup anymore. It's gonna. I hope it doesn't get scrapped because it's a great tournament. But we're going to be looking at seeing how these tournaments play. So you have a Pro 14 Champions Cup, Pro 14, top 14, and your Premiership from Europe, and then you move it down to the Southern for our six teams apparently. So if it were me, it would be two from South Africa, two from New Zealand, two from Australia. But it doesn't make sense because what about Argentina? So they need to fall in. So they're probably going to go with the top six in Super Rugby, which doesn't make sense in any case for those who watch Super Rugby because of the conference system, which is a lot of hogwash. So for me, scrap that, go back to the normal log style like they did in Super 12, and those top six, boom. If it's all New Zealand, tough tacky. It's up to these teams to develop and change the game and improve. If they don't do that, well, they're not going to go far. So that for me is a suggestion, but Argentina need to get included somehow. Then Japan, obviously, Sunwolves are going to get kicked from Super Rugby. I think it's next year. They will be gone. So then you look at they'll probably formulate within the Japan club, which is growing and developing and getting stronger. I mean, Japanese provincial league is definitely increasing, so they will go there, which won't be a bad idea for them. And then they'll formulate a team. Don't know if it's going to be the top one or they'll just bring in one team. And then the States, you're going to get that rugby league with the Beast and Manu and all of them are playing. So you pick one team, and then this gives an opportunity, like we discussed last week, of bringing the sport to non-playing rugby nations. So, like, yes, USA is becoming one, but put it there because there's big money in the States. And if people get excited, then you're going to look at what they were saying about sponsorships being even bigger in America because there's a lot of money there. Obviously, not right now because of the pandemic, but all these opportunities will be increasing and coming to light as this tournament goes along. So there's exciting things to come if this tournament does happen, and I think it should better happen. Who's a better kicker, Andre Pollard or Percy? Andre Pollard, I think. Percy was great, but he was never consistently brilliant all throughout his career. Percy only picked up um, when Jake White brought him back, and he really started, and he was great. Don't get me wrong, but for me, Andre Pollard is a lot more solid. Both have had bad form, but crackers. Let's see, game cricket. Mumbai Indians versus Sydney. They've done that before. They've done that the Airtel Championship, which was played. It was 5, 6, 7 years ago. Great tournament, but it just didn't take off. There was no money. And I think that's the question with rugby: is if it continues, will there be funds? Will it survive? Will it last? and all that stuff. So those are all the questions that we need to ask oneself. They had a T20, yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. The AFL Championship, T20 Championship, and that was huge. That was in South Africa. I remember going to a few of those games down in PE, which were absolutely awesome to watch. Thoroughly enjoyed that tournament, but it just didn't. I don't think they had enough funding because all your money goes to IPL and all that jazz. And I think those are the question marks that's going to be asked. Who's going to bring in the money for this club tournament, and how far will it go? Will it be successful? Will it be worth it? And how are we going to go about it, etc., etc. Because I think a lot of teams will be for it, but there's so much rugby already, and those are the questions that need to be asked. Are we going to cut into international? Are we going to can it? Or are we going to move forward? Um, how are we going to move forward? Is the question. You've got provincial tournaments that are too long, Super Rugby. It's just all these logistics and figures that are in place. How are they going to work it around to focus on this tournament to make it bigger? To all six of you that are here, hit that like button. This is a small stream tonight. It's obviously Easter Sunday, so I think everyone's doing their family thing. But make it last for as long as we can. And the problem is um, that Jenna Super Kings and multiple titles goes to the championship for lots of fuff as he plays. Yeah, you see, good point. And that's the problem. And I think that's why Champions Cup is going to get thrown for that same reason for rugby is how they're going to, you don't want to cross links. Well, that won't be a problem because Champions Cup, they form the same team. Just the top. Problem in the Southern Hemisphere won't change, but the Northern Hemisphere are perfectly happy with the tournaments we currently have. Fair enough. And it makes money and it gets full stadiums, full crowds, which is always strong and and can move forward. So that will definitely keep them going and keep them um, strong in the north. I mean, Pro 14 I often discuss with some of the Kings players that how different it is to work with a full crowd, which they're not used to. And that's always been an adjustment from them there to South Africa and all that stuff. So I think it's very interesting talks at how they'll do it. But you're right, North Northern Hemisphere is happy, but I think everyone's excited for a game of the North versus South from a provincial. For me, what I always said was just have like a three-test series game between the Crusaders and Saracens. So the Champions Cup winner versus Super Rugby Cup winner. That's simple. It's easy. You can fit it in anytime. Put it in the states. Put it in wherever it should be. And I think that would have been a quick and easier answer. But now they're trying to excite and bring newness to the sport. And I think that's one of the powerful ways that World Rugby want to try and develop in order to excite and ignite people again. So there's so many questions, there's so many question marks, there's so many concerns. That's why, if this tournament even happens, that's going to be the question. But we'll have to wait and see. There should be changes to develop rugby and rugby club World Cup. It's too big a change. Fair enough. Fair enough. For me, I would have put more focus into international because that's what brings in the money as well, especially from a South point of view. Shake up the tournaments a bit, and then have your top teams play against in the Test series. When I say Test series, like three matches, winner, boom, like what we see with the Lions when they tour, when provincial teams tour. And I think that would have been an awesome way for something to ignite. Um, but I agree. I think a whole World Cup is a big change and it could be long, but it will definitely excite me as a fan. It will definitely keep me going, keep me wanting to watch. So a lot. What is that? Amish says And again, a rugby club or cup will present a similar problem as many SA players has. A stint in Japan before the Super. There we go. You're right. Sorry, that's a good point. Who does yours present? So like Dwayne Vermeulen, I think he plays in Japan. Malcolm Marks, all those guys who might come back for Curry Cup. Mm, that's a very interesting point. Very, very interesting point. So your clubs could counteract who's he going to play for, and that's the thing with what they did with the IPL. Faf, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he chose to go for Chennai because the money's there. So it's a no-brainer. You would generally go for that, and I think that the guys who play in Japan would go for Japan over the South African um, franchise because the money's there. Easy as that, plain and simple. So a lot of these things are happening in place, and how are we going to go about it? So a lot of research needs to be done. Um, but first and foremost, before any form of World Cup or any form of tournament even gets considered, they need to figure out what's going on and how they're going to implement it. Because we can't have it every year. Plain and simple, in my opinion. To have a big tournament like that every year is going to be boring. Look at Super Rugby. I mean, it's lost interest. Why? It's too long, it's too big. So if we have this World Cup that's going to excite people for the first 2, 3 years, what do you do? Boom, it's boring. You're losing all the money. Your sponsorships get over it. All these things are going to happen. So for me, every 2 years or every 4 years, probably every 4 years, and do it like 2 years. So you got the World Cup, 2 years later, Club World Cup, and then it's consistent. Then you got something to look forward to every 2 years. Like the Lions. I mean, really, okay, although that's a year after World Cup. But it just excites. And that's what World Rugby needs to figure out. And how the hell they're going to put these things in place. Got your June, July internationals. The start of the year, you've got Six Nations. You've got Rugby Championship, August, September, October. You've got November internationals. Which one of those international tournaments are you going to scrap for the sake of this tournament? Will it fit in? Are we going to have it at one destination, which probably will make sense? Um, or teams going to do what they do, like in Pro 14 or Super Rugby, fly around? Should be one destination, in my opinion. Um, and I think that will be a good way to move forward and develop varsity cricket in SA. To be honest, Kelly, I'm not too sure on that. I haven't quite been following that. I more follow the rugby on that side. Cricket, I follow provincially. But as for the cricket, yeah, I couldn't tell you who's doing stuff. I know it's very well developed and all that stuff, but it's not as big in the news or on telly as much as the rugby. Rugby is the sport which people want to watch, rugby or football. Iris says um, they should ban this 8 weeks in Japan, then Super Rugby. What? They should ban this 8 weeks in Japan, then Super Rugby. If it doesn't make the part, yeah, it, um, it goes to the team. It's a job. Some companies don't allow multiple jobs. That's a very good point. So choose one team, finish and Clark. Um, I agree. So if you want a choice, you play. Boom, done. Companies don't allow multiple jobs, so rugby teams technically won't allow that either. That's a valid comment you make behind it. See, all these logistics need to be thought out. So if we talk about a club rugby World Cup tournament, when's it going to happen? Probably in another 4 years, 5 years maybe, because there's so much to do. It's all good to talk about it and get excited. But is it going to be like this World International Championship that we're going to plan on to try and bring in international rugby? All exciting, all great, but then it gets thrown off and we never hear of it again, or it comes back. And these are the things. Can World Rugby actually commit to a tournament for the people? Um, because it's definitely what they want. We want to see provincial teams play against each other from around the world. But how are you going to go about it? And talking Club World Cup is easy. Lucky we can write it down, we can debate it. There's so much stuff in between to form a spider around to come into the middle. It, it's complicated. So I don't know if they can pull it off because we already have so many tournaments. But it needs to happen. We need to see something different to excite us, to encourage us and move forward. That's one of the ways to try and spice the game up a bit. Any other questions for those watching? Talking Club Rugby World Cup, your thoughts, your concerns, how would we go about it, etc., etc. Won't be that. Oh wait, here we go. Love to see a Northern Hemisphere Dream Team versus Southern. Yeah, I think that's what everyone wants to see. We've got the Lions, great stuff. But in a video that's coming tomorrow, I'm talking about the Lions, where provincial teams that are possibly going to play them, and Barbarians is one. So I'm hoping that whoever coaches the Barbarians chooses a very dominant Southern Hemisphere based team with the likes of stars from the South to take on the Lions. And if they can even beat the Lions, that for me would be freaking cool. Um, and it will create the debate because that's another thing World Rugby has not looked at or not spoken about is where's the Southern Hemisphere Lions? I mean, what did you call it, Heinrich? Or Buckaroo? I mean, why haven't we got a team? Just think of what a Southern Hemisphere game versus a North versus the Lions together would create something phenomenal. I think it would be absolutely incredible to witness. South Lions team versus a North Lions team, and it would just be something. There's so much history already in the Lions, so why not create something for the South, and we have it going, or have the Southern Hemisphere Lions team tour Europe, just like the Lions do to the South. It's just there's so much that could be done by this organization, but they're not doing enough, in my opinion. They talk the talk, but they're not really walking it, and that's why the sport is getting boring for fans. They watch it on TV because it's easy to watch a sport on TV because the TV's on in the background. You can watch, you can get excited, you can have a braai, you can socialize with friends with sport in the background. Whereas in a stadium, you're stuck, and people get bored of that. So how are you going to bring people back in the seats? Lower your prices. First and foremost, lower the flipping prices of tickets. Create a tournament that excites us. Club Rugby World Cup or a club based test series. Bring in a Southern Hemisphere Lions team. Three massive topics I've just mentioned that World Rugby need to implement in order to take the sport to another level and to make people excited again. Force people to sit and otherwise, we're never going to do it. Northern Hemisphere has way more money, so this would benefit them in a way. They do have way more money. That's why the tournament will be great. But it brings a tournament like a Club Rugby World Cup will bring money into the South because the North sponsorships, the North television rights, all of that will be bought into the South as well. They'll share these type of topics and earnings and all that stuff. You get a massive company in the UK or wherever to sponsor a tournament like this. Money's created in the South. Everything will flow, and that will be the great thing about this tournament. It brings money in. That's why South Africa are excited about the Lions tour because that is going to bring tourism within the country. So many Lions supporters, and we know Lion supporters there's a shit lot. So they're all going to come in. Through that, they go back home. They tell their friends, "Oh, South Africa's not as bad as the world keeps on saying." They will come, boom. So it's going to create such an opportunity. And now, if you have a tournament, so just imagine bringing the Club Rugby World Cup to New Zealand, Australia, or South Africa. All that money is going to come get invested into the provinces here, and that's going to trigger the people. That's going to excite the people, and that's going to develop the sport. And so, for me, a tournament. That's why World Rugby needs to do this because it's going to help the South. It's going to develop the South, and just by cutting Super Rugby short, reducing teams, making it smaller, going back to a log league style game, it's going to excite people again. I mean, already we've seen an improvement of the tournament this year with the Crusaders losing, the Chiefs losing. Sharks were a talking point because they were dominant. All these things were different opposed to previous years where we've just witnessed an all black dominance and no one cares to watch or go watch a game because they don't want to see the Crusaders thrash the Bulls or thrash the Sharks or thrash Stormers. Well, now we can talk. Oh, Stormers, Sharks could give the Crusaders a good run. We don't know because they never played each other this year, but it was discussed, it was talked on. Um, and that for me would be exciting. Come on, you Quins. Who are the Quins? I know it's a short. Harlequins. Guessing. I don't know. Help me out there, Archie Adams. Pork Chop says if one of the SA teams in the Pro 14 get into the Champions Cup, then things will get interesting. Definitely. Definitely. I think it would excite. But the problem with the Champions Cup, it's European based. I don't think that will ever happen. Although, how does that work, Pro 14? Is it that it's the top teams that go in, if I'm not mistaken, or something? I don't know how that works out of the qualifications in order to get to the Champions Cup. Is it possible for, let's say, the Cheetahs automatically get to the top of the log, get to the final? Do they stand a chance to be in the Champions Cup? Because that would be exciting to see. Sad to see Sinclair leaving to Bristol on the season like this with the delay. Yeah, Vocalo and Andre Esther isn't coming to the Quins. Now more South Africa. Yeah, okay, now I know what you're talking about. Yeah, Andre Esther isn't stealing him from our Sharks. Um, it's going to be interesting. Pro 14 works like this: they play, they play, they play, they play. Then either Munster, also or Leinster win. That's good. That's a good one. Leinster's been dominating that tournament for how long now? Um, they do have other wins. We've seen Scarlets, they were in the final. So I think you've got to add Scarlets in because I've seen them a few times there. But I get what you mean there, I know. It's quite hilarious. But yeah, so it could be interesting to see how these things go. But I'd love to see like a cheetah or kind of Kings will never get there as much as I want this team to flip and do well in the Champions Cup. And I think if that actually gets allowed, because I don't know, that's why I want someone to let me know how the Champions Cup system works. Can the Cheetahs or the Kings qualify for the tournament if they're higher up or if they win the tournament? Because surely if they win the Pro 14, they automatically get in. How's it, Sharon Moore? Welcome. So for me, that would be quite something because then you might see talks of more SA teams joining Pro 14 in order to do it. But that's if it's allowed. Because these tournaments are too long already. And to increase more teams could cause a bit of chaos. But we never know. Anything can happen in this world we live in. Tell me, all of you guys here, have you seen the latest video of mine on the kick the ball into the bra challenge? I want to see if anyone can do this channel and tag me on social media. I really want to see a few videos. I've already got one in the bank here that I need to edit. I know other mates of mine are doing these tomorrow. So I want to create something fun out of this for YouTube just to keep things going. And TikTok. Strange the lack of love from SA for FUF. A lot of European teams rate him as the best half in the world. He is brilliant, um, but it all depends what his instructions are. For me, and I've said this before in previous videos, before I became critical of him, is once that boy kid gets an opportunity to run, he's one of the best. He's phenomenal. He's great. But as soon as he does these box kicks, if he could box kick like Conor Murray, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But his box kicks aren't his strong point. We saw it improve against Wales in that semi final, and we saw it get a little bit better in the final. He hardly even did it. And look at it. We dominated England. Why? Because we played running rugby. So he is phenomenal, but I won't say he's the top. Um, for me, okay, he's probably the top in South Africa, but for me, you got to watch out for Herschel Yankees. I think that guy is going to surprise us. SA Rugby, and this is Hanukkah Man, Alistair Coetzee fault. How's it, Tane Warren? Welcome. Quins, Harley Quins. I know they are now with it. Gonna win this season. Gallagher Premiership next season. But so yeah, Faf, I think he's won a lot. Archie Adams says Faf is his least favourite player in the world, but it's only because of the World Cup and his long hair. I'm not going to argue with you there. If you have to go before the final, I was one of the biggest critics of him because of the box kicks. I don't. He's not good at it. Plain and simple. And like I just said about 3 4 minutes ago, if he could do what Conor Murray does with that box kick, Faf would be the greatest. So for me, Kobus Reinach, and this is what I was going to say before I read that, was for me, he would have been the future after Farida Prayer. But the problem was, um, Alistair didn't choose him, and Heineke didn't really choose him either. So what does he do? Goes and plays overseas. He was phenomenal for the Sharks, and we lost him. And then the ruling, he didn't have the 30% game time, so he couldn't play for South Africa again until it was released. When he came on, he scored that amazing long meter try. He was quick. His box kick was more accurate than Faf and all these things. So for me, he just needs to work on that. The South African teams are currently excluded from Europe, but I feel they should have a place if they qualify. I would also create a second division of the Pro 14 and invite teams from around Europe. Okay, so you saying South African teams cannot qualify for the Champions Cup? I thought as much. I thought that was the case. Um, I did reckon it was that. I didn't think we would allow. It would have definitely made it interesting if they were allowed. But yeah, it's just one of these things. And I think that's why they're trying to create this Club World Cup is to bring more into the sport, to excite people, to encourage people, make people feel pumped again. So yeah, it's a lot of work that World Rugby need to do in order to um, shake things up a bit, as they say. Geez, that video is doing well. Yeah, but just so I did see. For me, the Premiership, I've enjoyed watching when I can in South Africa. Pro 14 is great, but for me, it's only exciting when the top teams play. Like a Zebra, I don't really watch them. I watch the Kings because they're my locally based team and it gives me an opportunity to see them. But I don't rush for a Pro 14 game as quick as I do for Super Rugby. Obviously, that would be the case because my team's in Super Rugby and there's more South African teams there. But I'm very much invested in Leinster and Munster. I thoroughly enjoy those teams. I've done a lot of research on Scarlets. I enjoy them. Premiership, I was getting there because obviously it's not shown as much in South Africa. So I know my teams. I know Saracens very well. Sorry, they have another Champions team that I do watch because Skalkberger played for them and all that stuff. So I've really enjoyed them. I used to watch Newcastle Falcons. I know they're not good anymore because Matthew Berg played for them, and if I'm not mistaken, Johnny Wilkinson played for them, and he was those two were my all-time favorite players. So I was a big fan of them. Sale Sharks because obviously the Shark name, and Faf is there, and there's still a few other of my Shark players. The Dupree brothers, I think, are there. So yeah, Premiership I'm getting stronger with from the knowledge, but Pro 14 and World Champions Cup I thoroughly enjoyed. That I watch religiously. I really enjoy that. SA teams in Europe Cup will make more than the Italian teams. They will be allowed to qualify soon. That's a good point. Very good point. And I think if they allow South African teams to join the Europe Cup, I think boom, we're going to see more fighting from South Africa to join Pro 14 in the future. Or you'll see a stronger combined team from like Western Province or the Stormers and have combinations or Transvaal, send them up. All these types of things. Because I mean, Europe Cup will bring in a hell of a lot of money into our South African rugby sport. And like you said, the Italian teams, will they get far, far? No, not really. South African team like the Sharks or the Stormers or the Bulls, on form Bulls, maybe. Cheetahs. I mean, Cheetahs have really shown a lot of improvements since joining Pro 14. They had their moments in Super Rugby, but they also had their very weak moments in Super Rugby. So for me, it's an interesting one to 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 include. And I think the Cheetahs are given the opportunity of a Champions Cup, which means another tournament, which means more money, to really excite these players because they've got quality. They've got quality players, quality team. It's just how everyone adapts, plays the game. But that will definitely excite, and I think it would. South African teams would do better than Italian teams. In my, as Heinrich says, in my opinion, SA doesn't rate European rugby as strong as they send their two least performing teams to Europe, and they are not doing good. Fair enough. To me, the Cheetahs have shown a lot of improvement in the tournament, but I get what you mean. The Kings, what have they done? Would SA had a better impact with the other? Um, yeah, so sending the Sharks or the Stormers to a tournament like that definitely would excite things, and maybe it's something they should test. So losing team of the Super Rugby, because the four teams currently in Super Rugby from South Africa are quality. They're good. Yes, the Bulls and the Lions are in shit form at the moment, but they produce great rugby. The bottom of the log in the South African conference, and obviously I'm excluding um, Jaguars from this. They should play. They should swap maybe with one of the Pro 14 teams to give them an opportunity. That's if they want to, and see what they like. Bulls, Sharks, Stormers, Lions. What would they be like in Pro 14? And I think having a dominant South African side would produce something good. Because I mean, the Cheetahs did well in the Curry Cup, so I don't know. I want to see another South African team in Pro 14 to to spice things up a bit and make it a bit more exciting. It will definitely create a better vibe going in, and it'll be interesting for us as fans because, like you say, South Africa doesn't really rate European rugby or fans, but also we don't get to see it as much. Pro 14 we get to see more because of the likes of the Kings and the Cheetahs. We don't get to see every game. We witness the Champions Cup, but they only really show that more when the big games are. So I think it's definitely something to consider because I love Champions Cup, and if the South African team gets that opportunity, definitely ignite the people. If one of the SA teams get into the European Cup and their revenue doubles the team's Super Rugby overnight, I think things will be taken a lot more seriously very quickly. So true. I mean, if we look at the pound to the rand right now, I mean, it's like 20 some, it's over 20 bucks. So they're doubling what they would earn if that's the case. So I think you're right there, Pork Chop. If European Cup opens the doors to South African teams, we might see the death of Super Rugby for South African fans, and then they will create something over there, like an Australasia tournament, which could be interesting. And I think that's what Andrew Mertens has said it for a long time now. He doesn't like, I just don't think he likes South Africa in general, but he's wanted us away for a long time. And they want to create a tournament between New Zealand, Australia, and Pacific Islands. And I like that idea for the Pacific Island teams. I think they deserve to have tournaments. But yeah, it's interesting thought of how it's going to be. There was a plan for the Rainbow Cup a few years ago. The provincial teams from Ireland, Wales, and Scotland, as well as 8 from SA. This was before Italy joined Pro 14. Maybe a revisit them idea. I've never heard of the Rainbow Cup, to be honest with you. Was that a Europe-based tournament? Obviously, I know you said include South Africa, but was the guys over in Europe thinking of that? Because I don't remember hearing about that. Yeah, sounds like a great idea, but it's again not solving the problem. It's awesome South Africa is included, but we want to see the best. South African provincial isn't currently the best. It's the Crusaders. So we want to see the top teams in the south play the top teams of the north, and then we're going to say is the rightful winner. Because Crusaders, everyone's in New Zealand or the south say they'll dominate Saracens or they'll dominate Leinster. But now everyone up there says the opposite, saying Leinster and Saracens would dominate the Crusaders. So the need to create a tournament for club rugby, how they're going to do it, that's the question. 20 teams or whatever, is that too much? And have they chosen too many teams from Super Rugby? All those things are in place that people need to discuss. How's it, Tyrell? Welcome, bud. Um, so yeah, it's interesting debates and discussions that we can have, and I think we can talk about it for years and years. But at the end of the day, World Rugby need to do this tournament, or they need to do something to bring provincial to the sport, to excite fans, to excite fans, to excite or to make people want to go put their backsides onto the stands. And I think that's the key going forward. But if European Cup opens the door to South Africa, that could be Super Rugby in South Africa parting ways because the money will be better. Time zones are an hour behind, and then obviously with clocks change, it's 2 hours, so it suits them. Jet lag is not going to be an issue, and the money's going to be good. So I think South Africa would do that. But if it happens, that's the question. I mean, Andy Marinos, if that's his name, I know he's still Andy Marinos, he's gone on and said it will never happen. South Africa won't leave. But if people pay the right money, well, yeah, plus you'll see more packed stadiums because Super Rugby tennis is dead. Why is it dead? Tournament's too long. Happens too much. No one's excited anymore. So this would create an excitement. It was around the time that England and France were causing problems in Europe and wanted to have more teams in Europe. Limited Pro 14 teams to half. Okay, interesting. Now, I never heard of that Rainbow Cup. Arnold Jones says it would be a struggle to make the season's match. One would be finishing this, but that's the thing, and that's a good point. It will probably have to be in the middle of the year to really suit everyone. But yeah, seasons, too much rugby, all that stuff, all these little things that we don't quite think about. It's great for us. We want rugby throughout the year, fantastic. But players' welfare, their health. They're going to get injured. And that's why this tournament should not happen every year. It should happen once a year. Every year, if once every 4 years. So we could see something happening because people get bored. They get bored quickly in this world. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting time ahead for the sport. But that's the beauty, and that's why I did the title last week. World Rugby make or break. It's time to get creative. There's no rugby being played, so work your ass off. Think of new plans. Think of new ideas. Think of new ways to change the sport and to get things better, to ignite and excite people. Because if you don't do that, the sport's gonna lose money and lose interest. Um, so we'll have to wait and see what happens, how they'll get out. All right, any more questions, guys? We've been here for nearly an hour. Probably going to sign off not too long, but throw your questions in and we can answer and discuss. Probably be here for another 10, 15. Um, and we'll do this again definitely Sunday. Sunday seems the best day for streams. Sunday morning. Harlequins are one of the most historic clubs in England. Chris Robson and Derek Kerr play for them. Yeah, I'm aware of you talking about the way you said the nickname. I wasn't quite with it. But now I've heard of them. They're the ones who play with the colourful clothes. There was a bloke, my old sports coordinator at varsity. He played for Harlequin Juniors and then got injured and was forced back to South Africa. Otherwise, he would have been something big. World Rugby should be working their bottoms off right now to have one season. There will be never a chance like this again. I couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't agree with you more, Pork Chop. Now's the time these guys really need to get their backsides into gear. If there was a global club tournament, I would allow some tier 3 nations to participate as provincial teams and allow 5 players on loan to boost their chances. Fair enough. What one of the suggestions from Heinrich earlier was to have the top 10, so your world rankings. So your top 10 in the world rankings, take two provincial teams from each team so that everyone can get a chance. So you've got Fiji in there, you've got Japan in there, Italy in there, so they'll be out. And do things that way to make it a bit more evenly. But that's also not a bad um, idea going forward. Let me just pull up the world rugby rankings. Okay, let's have a look at this. The world rankings. Right? They play in the Twickenham area along with the stadium in England. Yeah. Okay, so we're currently sitting South Africa at the top, New Zealand, England, Ireland fourth, France, Wales, Australia, Scotland, Japan, Argentina at 10. Okay, so Fiji's not there anymore. So then what they're saying is two. So two from South Africa. So currently, right now, you would look at the Bulls, not the Bulls, the Stormers and the Sharks, because they're currently the top. New Zealand Crusaders, Chiefs. England, okay, not Saracens, I don't know how that will work, but probably Exeter Chiefs and whoever. Ireland, you got your Leinsters, France, Toulouse, and then Wales, etc., etc. That's one way to look at the tournament in order to spice things up a bit and create it. Uh, Who, who is Jim? Oh, we're in lockdown, so we can't gym. I'm doing basic stuff at home. But we had to talk rugby. But yeah, we're not allowed out. Gym's on hold. Just doing what one can at home, and that's about it. Who else is in the top? So Fiji's on Argentina's tail. Fiji, Japan, Argentina. Interesting. Georgia's shot up. Yes, Italy's done bad in the World Rugby rankings. Not good. I hope the Quins are serious. Just challenge next year. Without Saracens, I could not see anyone stopping Exeter. Hello, Dips. Welcome. Stopping Exeter at the moment. Exeter's bloody good. They've got a freaking strong squad. Playing some cracking rugby. Well, they've been dominant for quite some time now. But it's going to be a pity with Saracens. They're going to lose a lot of that. YouTube doing enough. I could say that again. Right. Any more questions, guys? We've been here for about an hour. Throw them, throw them away. Go them away about the Club World Cup. And then, yeah, if you don't have any, we'll sign off. But if you do have a few, let me know. Club Rugby World Cup. Two strong Harlequins talkers over here. Definitely some elite blokes. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Actually, because it's not right tonight. I don't think anyone got a notification for this. Like YouTube. Did anyone get a notification for the stream? Those who are here. I know Andre didn't. Or did you just see me randomly live on your feed in the stream? Should the teams be qualified by country or by tournament? Tournament, I think. Country was the other way around. We were just saying that if they're thinking of a Club World Cup, how they would do it. But for me, it's got to be by teams. You've got to have the top teams. It's only fair. I mean, let's say, I'm going to use Italy as an example. Let's say Zebra, or Italy is the top of the log. Zebra are not the strong, or the Kings. Let's use the Kings, for example. So, country would take the Kings when they bottom and throw them into a tournament. But it should be qualified from the tournament, not country. That makes sense. I get that when we said country, so your top 10 to formulate this log, meaning take your top provincial teams from that specific country. But I agree, tournament would make sense. So you top in the Pro 14, etc., etc. It's only fair. I didn't get a notification and my stream came up with my suggestions. Yes, YouTube aren't helping us at all. They are really getting useless. I think Laporte knows it will never happen. And it's just a vote grab. Fair enough, but it should happen, in my opinion. We need something to excite the fans of a Club World Cup. Um, because I want to see who the best in the South and then all the best in the world is from a provincial point of view. Um, and I think it will bring money in, but creating it like a World Cup could work, but it can't be every year. It's got to be every 4 years because it will die, it will get boring, and people will lose interest. 6 teams from the whole Sans up, but 4 teams from each England and France. Funny that was an idea from a French player. I think why it says 6 teams is because no notification. I don't know what's going on with YouTube. Maybe because I did it last minute. Normally, you guys, funny, I normally get an email saying I'm live, and I haven't got that. Anyway, um, 6 teams from Super Rugby. I think they've done that only because of two South Africa, two Australia, two from New Zealand. That's the thought process of how they think it would qualify because the current conference system, you guaranteed 3 from the Three Nations. I don't know how the hell Argentina would fit in, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see how that gets thrown in. Curry Cup, Super Rugby, Rugby Championship, incoming tour, year in tour, World Cup, and then Club World Cup. That's too much rugby. It's exactly what we were debating earlier. Is how is World Rugby going to implement this tournament to keep it going? And I think that's the problem, and that's the concern. There's too much rugby. Something's got to get cancelled, and I don't want it to be an international tour. And it probably will have to be definitely in June. Curry Cup's one of the oldest rugby tournaments in rugby history. No one will want to see that go. It's South Africa Super Rugby. You've got your debates there, and also you you're only saying that. Remember, there's the Midi Cup. There's except everything going big. There's more tournaments in Australia, New Zealand, everywhere. So there's a lot of rugby, and to implement this into one thing, it's going to be a mission. All right, two more questions, and then I'm going to sign off. So whoever gets it, but it's got to be a legit rugby question. Then I'll only go. But if it's a hello, that doesn't count. That way is the scales heavy. What? Okay, you continuing from the 16th. Why is the scales heavy in the favour of the North financially? Definitely, but remember the North is bringing in the money, so that's why it's going to favour them, of course. And I think those are the questions of why they need to bring more North in, and it does make sense. So I don't argue with that. For me, it should have been two, 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 two from Super Rugby, two from England, two from France, two from Pride 14. Boom. But I don't think that will happen. Do you think Oz Rugby will die? Sure. It's a tough question at the moment because they're going through so much drama with finance and everything. For the sake of sport and for the sake of rugby and everything else, I hope it doesn't die. I love Australian rugby and I think they've got quality players and can produce some great things. So it will be heartbreaking if they do end up getting canned. But we'll have to wait and see. They've done a lot. They're in a big amount of debt. And if there's no international or provincial rugby in Australia this year, then they probably will take to file bankruptcy and be in big trouble. But it all depends on how long this pandemic lasts. I mean, South Africa just got an extension on lockdown for another 2 weeks, and there's chances that it could get extended after that. So we as a country are only in the early stages of this whole pandemic. As it increases, it's going to get worse, and that's the thing. So we'll have to see. How's Peter Steph's injury? I think he was making well on his recovery, and I think this break is doing him wonders too. So I think he's got more opportunities. So when we're back with rugby, I think he will start coming back too. But it was a serious injury. I mean, he nearly lost his leg and all that stuff. But thankfully, all has gone well, and he was able to recover, which was great, 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 great news. We needed it. Okay, all right. Ladies and gents, I think I'm going to end now. Sorry to the guys who've just joined. I don't know why YouTube didn't give notifications. I think that's why it's been such a quiet stream, but we will continue this over the weekend. I might do one tomorrow night, but definitely Sunday morning at about 9:10, just to bring back our New Zealand friends. And I don't think Friday is a good day for streams because people are still working and they're hurtful and tired. So I think we'll stick from next week to Saturday and Sunday. Saturday is going to be a birthday stream, by the way, so that should be fun. But I'm going to sign off and we'll chat. Join me. Keep a lookout tomorrow. I might throw up a stream, but definitely Sunday. So keep your looks out for that, and we'll continue it further. Thanks for joining. What? JG, man, your bra kick was hilarious. You guys must do this bra kick too, eh? I want to see some videos coming up on my Instagram or on Facebook or on Twitter or something, TikTok even. Um, I want to see if you guys could take part in this G-Man Bri kick challenge. I think it'll be fun. And I want to see people from around the world do it. I think if we can get a few videos in, I think that'll be great. And that will be going onto YouTube. It will be on this channel. In fact, it will probably go on all my social media channels. So if you want to be part of this channel and feature, do a video of the G-Man kick. What's it? G-Man Bri kick challenge. So kick any ball. It doesn't have to be a rugby ball, but it can't be massive. It's got to be something small because of me being short. So tennis ball, um, golf ball, whatever it may be. Socks is doing socks, just for little shits and giggles, which is going to be brilliant. So give it a try, but especially you guys overseas as well. And then tag me in it with the hashtag. If you invite me on Facebook, and we'll do it because I think that'll be quite fun. So keep the trend going. But thanks, guys, for joining. Appreciate all those who were here. But we will continue the stream on probably tomorrow, but definitely Sunday. So keep a lookout. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Stay safe and never give up. Cheers.